Hey, Shalom YouTube family. This is Brother Richard at Altruistic Torah Studies, and I'm looking at tank number 2, aka the bad tank. All right, so here we go. We got the duckweed in here, and we got some aquatic plants, and I'm really hoping that they're still alive because today is the day that Yahuwah has made, and we will be glad and rejoice in it. But it's also a day that I'm going to come over here and deal with this side of the tank. Oh, look at that. Now this is interesting because this is all a bunch of fish excrement, okay? And so what has happened here is you can see the top of my fish partition and the 2 buoys that I put there, okay? In preparation for sticking this partition down here and separating the bad fish from this area so that they will not consume all of the aquatic plants. Okay, so there's a bit of a thing that I'm up to today. I went to the property that we have purchased, and I got my hands on some of the soil that was actually in a creek bottom, and in the creek bottom that's on my property. And what I'm supposed to do with that in order to make this a better environment for the fish and the plants that I'm about to plant is I'm going to put a mound of it underneath the sand right here and then bury it back up. And around it, along the sides that you can see right here, I'm going to plant the aquatic grass, and of course I'm going to float the duckweed on top of everything. Okay, so what I did is I collected that in a coffee can yesterday. Sister Nicole and I, we went to the property, and we collected this with a shovel, and I put it in a Folgers coffee can, and I brought it home. Okay, after I brought it home, I put it in plastic baggies, and I smashed it down to where it was a flat, like a mud pie of sorts. Okay, microbiological mud pie, and I did it twice because I've got 2 fish tanks, and I'm going to stick it in both of them. Okay, so after that, I took and I froze it, and so I froze it so that whenever I put it down into the fish tank in the back here, you know, where all the poop is floating to, interestingly enough, they're just fanning it back there, which is going to be great for the plants. But anyway, so there will be a mound in the middle, and I've collected it for both tanks. I made the mud pies for both tanks. I stuck the freezer bags of the flattened mud pies in the freezer. Yes, and so I'll stick it in there, and I'll also stick in another heater so that the water will heat up that much quicker, so that the fish won't be annoyed by it too terribly bad. Okay, well, I'll be right back. Okay, so here I am at the little freezer. Open it up. What do we have here? We have freezer bag / mud pie number 1, and I will leave the other one in here. And I put them. Oh yeah, it's frozen solid. I put it in a plastic bag, and I stuck it down in here yesterday. So this is mud pie number 1, and if I were to toss this to somebody, it would be a bad thing. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go ahead and stick it in the fish tank here shortly. Okay, so now what I've done is I've come here and I've put the second heater in the tank. Okay, so you saw the second heater in there, and it's on as we speak, and it's going to help me out a bit. But this right here is the mud pie that was in the bag, that was in the freezer, that came from the creek. Okay, this has a lot of microorganisms in it, and it's going to promote a more natural environment with living organisms, and the water will even be more clear as this starts to grow in the tank. Okay, right now I'm going to get back here, and I'm going to basically clear away, pushing some of the sand frontwards, some of it backwards, and then I will cover up the mud pie or mud mound. I'm going to have to cut this, just like cut the bag off of it and slice it and just peel it off, and then I will shove the mud down in there, the mud pie, mud mound down in there by itself, without any of the plastic, because that wouldn't do me any good. But interestingly enough, the looks like the mound is about as wide as the space. So the plants will go on the front right here where you can see the front, and it's going to go in the very back too. I don't believe it's going to be able to fit on the sides pretty much unless I move the partition a bit forwards. I don't know that I'll do that, but I will return shortly and insert mud pie. Okay, my hand's a bit wet, but I separated the sand, one big pile back here, one other pile up here, and I slipped the mud mound underneath. And so I'm just kind of showing you what I'm doing right now. And now I'm going to take and I'm going to cover back over it with this side, and then I'm going to come back over it over here with this side. Now the water is already starting to cool a little bit, but it is at least not getting muddy. I took some advice from a friend of mine to go ahead and freeze it before I try to put it in, simply because I didn't prepare the tank with the mud initially. So let's see here. I'm trying to make sure this is fairly even, aesthetically pleasing, aesthetically. I don't even know the word. This is raised the level, obviously, back here, and so hopefully I'm not like I'm smoothing it out. Okay, so anyway, you guys get the idea. So this is what I've done on tank number 2, aka the bad tank. Momentarily, I am going to start planting the plants. Okay, small amazing detail. I am happy to report that my 4 corkscrew grasses, aquatic grasses, and my 4 straight-bladed grasses have both survived the fish's assault on the net. Okay, so what I'm about to do is go ahead and plant these. You can see that I had to separate it. It's made a little bit of a mess in here, but that's what this side's going to look like, except for the fact that the grass, I think the corkscrew, I'll plant it up front, and the straight blades, I'll plant them in the back. Okay, I'll be back to show you that here in just a moment. But I'm really happy to report that all 8 of them, 4 of each kind, have survived the assault. All right, here we are with the finished product. This is what's going on with the duckweed, and the buoy's doing its job. It's been a little interesting, to say the least, and some of it's getting away. Obviously, it's in the tank, and the tank itself is a bit cloudier than usual, but the fish seem to be holding out well. Looking up here, the tank is holding at 81 degrees, and that's by way of both of these heaters, and that's good. Okay, so let's go over here and take a little bit of a look at the front. The front has 1, 2, 3, 4 corkscrew grasses that have survived, and the back, being a bit more cloudy and not as easy to see, especially with the duckweed, you would see it. At least you could see one that's planted in the corner. I'm not sticking my hand back down in there, because every time I do, it sticks to my hand. And so I can't really wash it off on this side and try to keep the extra duckweed. So I had to rinse my hands off over here, and therefore these guys get a little bit of an early meal. And that's okay, because I'm glad that they like the duckweed, because this is going to basically be a self-perpetuating way to feed the fish. But these grasses, and you can kind of see in the back a little bit, maybe better than what I thought. But these grasses, 1 in the corner, 2, 3, I don't even know, man. Did one of them looks like it might have got loose. It's hard to tell. And these guys are just all over the place. I'm sorry about the camera thing. But the water's going to settle, and somehow these guys are going to fan their poop back over into this side, which is kind of like an unintended consequence of me putting up this divider it's like, hey man, we don't want to swim next to the poop either. So that they kind of fanned it over here, and y'all saw the whole floor of it was pretty much full of poop. That's going to be good though. And I wish I could tell whether or not I lost the grass or not. There was some pieces that are up here against the net that are probably going to be pulled through by the fish, but some of these pieces were just kind of like dead pieces from the straight grass that's in the back. Okay, but there was four, and they might still be four back there. And obviously, we can tell directly about the corkscrew grass, and I am freaking ecstatic. Yes, ecstatic, because I love fish and I love what I'm doing here. This is a natural environment for the fish, and it's going to allow for microbial growth and the, what do you call it? The nitrates, the nitrites, and the ammonia that are excreted by the fish along with their dung to be completely consumed in the nitrogen cycle. Okay, that's pretty much what I wanted to show you guys. But let's end this with the view of the duckweed. This stuff is multiplying as we speak. It's eating the nitrates and nitrites, and it is their favorite food. So I think we've scored pretty good on this one. I'm going to take you along the next time with tank number 1, and we are going to introduce the sand into it, and we will introduce the partition as well as some plants, but I have to order some more plants first. Okay, thank you for coming along. Once again, here's my update, and I will talk to you soon. Please like and subscribe. Show your friends. This is kind of cool. This is going to help me with my dietary changes. All right, thanks. All right, bye.